Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the next move. Today we are going to be talking about branding. With me is Ernesto Vega, who has better lighting than me today. You look very fresh. I feel hazy over here. Got to figure that out.
It's called
So,
clean your camera. It's called clean your
yeah,
camera,
maybe that's
everybody.
it. Maybe that's it.
So I just want to say hello to everybody joining us for the first time. My name is Ernesto Vega. I am the broker of Canvas Real Estate, and I love doing these sessions with Joaquin. We're trying to stick to a weekly schedule, but sometimes that doesn't happen. But we're trying to stick to a weekly schedule. Today's topic is it's one that I think is very important: is knowing your brand and having a brand. You want to make sure that you are known for something, because master of everything does not work. But I'll let Joaquin take it from here.
So I was reading a book, and I like sharing what it is that I'm learning with all of you. If you know me now, you by now you know that I don't believe that we're all competing with each other all the time. There is room for cooperation amongst us, and that's obviously why we're here today, right? So branding, you should like Ernesto just said, you shouldn't be a jack of all trades. You should have your door open to all kinds of business so that you can handle it, but you should have a brand. Recently, I was reading a book called My Storybook Brand, and first of all, you should read it. But the gist of the whole program is that the person who should be the hero in your marketing should be your customer, not you. You should actually be in the theme of your marketing, the mentor, the guide. For instance, if you were talking about Star Wars, and this is the kind of comparisons they use in the movie Star Wars, Luke Skywalker has everything he needs in his self to become what he needs to become, but he needs somebody to find a way to release that form. And then, of course, you have Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi and all these guys. So in your story, in your are you laughing at this or off camera?
I am.
It gets good. So in your story, your buyer, and if you look at advertising coming out of the Doral office of Canvas this week, you're going to see everybody doing their first ad with that kind of mindset. But in the story, it should be that your customer has what they need to buy a home, but they just need somebody to help them put together the information they might have already acquired. The typical buyer right now is very savvy. So if you try to tell them that you're going to teach them something, or you post yourself or provide yourself as the only way they're going to get things done correctly, you're hurting yourself. You need to come in and be working with that person, and then that is where you decide where your brand is, and you present yourself as that brand, as that theme or niche is the best way to put it, obviously.
Yeah. So I'm going to expand on that. In South Florida, there are, I believe it's 82,000 active real estate agents. Yes, 82,000. So in such a crowded market, your brand, what you decide to present yourself as, is going to be your differentiator. That's what's going to set you apart. Clients don't hire companies. Clients hire agents with strong brands, because a brand will build trust. And that brand could be social media, it could be printed media, it could be podcasts, it could be many things, but clients look for someone that they can trust. And when it comes to branding, consistency and image and message is what creates long-term recognition and leads to referrals. I'm not saying that you can only sell one type of real estate, but if you are a luxury agent and you are branding yourself as a luxury agent, why does your Instagram show you doing a rental for 1950 in West Park? Because if I'm going to sell my multi-million-dollar house and I see that you're doing rentals for 1950, you're not a luxury agent. So if you're going to define yourself as a specific type of realtor, creating a brand on that specific type of realtor, then you got to stick to that. I'm not saying that you cannot do everything else, but
Correct.
what you're putting out there, the image that you're putting out there, the images should stick to what your branding is.
So branding encompasses a lot. It's not just your image, it's not just what it is that you're providing as a service. We have to go across the board, try to keep the same pictures, the same themes across all the platforms that we're using. But what we're discussing here today, and that's where or I forgot your name for a second. That's where Ernesto comes in. He's telling you, and it's true. And I'd like to say it the other way around. I know people whose sphere of influence is a typical buyer somewhere between three and $600,000. If that is your sphere, you're going to alienate them by just marketing yourself as the luxury guy. If your sphere is not that niche, you know, you should try to not lie to yourself as what your brand is. So
So
if
what you're saying is you need to define your value proposition. What do
oh
you want to be known for, right? So
you're
that's what you literally. I'm gonna break down. I'm gonna break it down. That's what you said. You need to define who you are. You need to look at yourself in the mirror and say what you're gonna be, and what do you want to be known for, right?
yes.
All right.
If you visit, there's a link in the chat that's to a post that I put on my website that discusses branding. It talks about how many agents there are. I was shocked, Ernesto. I did not know that there are actually 360,000 licensed agents in Florida. Because usually the numbers that we look at are the ones that are members of the board.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of real estate agents that are not members of the board that are still out there competing with you. So when we're looking at the big picture, you want to stand out. But your message is very important, and that's where you need to, like he said, identify who you are, what your brand is going to be, even down to the colors that you're going to be using on your branding. Your theme should always stick to if you're a first-time home buyer, which is a beautiful part of this business, that's what you should be marketing yourself as, and try to stick to that. Those same people eventually going to buy something else from you, and that's probably when you start moving into the luxury end. If you're an investor's agent, then you should be promoting yourself and showing how you can help them as far as evaluating properties and things like that.
So
So if you visit the page that I,
identify. So you're saying identify your target audience, right?
yes,
Be as specific on demographics, lifestyle. You know, example, if you're working with tech professionals that are moving from California to Miami, then you want to be the tacky, the tech, not the tacky, the techie realtor, right?
yes,
Um, I think you also said, your identity and your voice, which is your brand. You need to decide what colors, what fonts, what style messaging you're going to put out there. Either you're doing minimalistic style, or you're doing nice, warm and fuzzy, or you are the realtor with a family realtor, or with the dog. So you got to decide who you want to be, and then use that to tell your story.
correct.
All right.
If and if you message me directly, whether it's where you find me, either email, text if you have my number, or if you find me on social media and you text me, or look for it. There is the Storybook branding has a website with AI on it that will ask you particular questions and you can answer them and it'll help you find what is the essence of your business. It'll ask you what it is your target audience looks like. And when I say looks like, we're talking about economically, education wise, and things like that, so that you can have a specific, I don't know if we want to call it a slogan, but an essence as to what are the key words that you're going to use in your marketing to attract those people. Um, I think in that post that I did, I need to go back and look. There's a prompt that'll help you find that, but you absolutely have to define your message.
Oh, I love what you just said. So, that's the thing. Everybody, if you're watching this for the first time and you think that me and Joaquin rehearse this at night and sit down and know what we're going to talk about, we come up with a topic, each goes back to their corner, writes what they want to talk about, and then when we come together, it's like we have planned this because literally this is what he said and this is what I wrote down. You need to write down 3 pillars for your brand. What are you stand for? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? 3. Now 1, I'm a luxury realtor. Why are you a luxury realtor? What type of luxury realtor? Where are you? What type of properties do you want to sell? Right. So that. Number 2, you need to look at your online presence. Your brand needs to, like I said at the beginning, needs to match with what you're trying to say. You gotta be what you're trying to say, and then you need to be consistent with that content calendar. I know, Joaquin, you do a whole class on that. And then, one thing that I wrote down, Joe, is that if you're rebranding yourself or coming up with something new, it's going to take about 90 days for people to recognize you as that thing. Like if you do 3 posts this week that you are the Doral expert, right?
Right.
That's not in 3 days from there. You got to commit to a 90-day plan. Let's call it a cleansing or a diet that all you're going to put out there is that content. If you're the Doral realtor, then start doing pictures around Doral, start showing things about Doral, show yourself showing the homes in Doral. So, your brand matches what you're trying to do.
And do not 6 weeks into the crossing of the river switch and change direction and decide that you're going to do Brickell or something like that. So make sure that whatever you choose to do, you're going to stick to that particular theme. So here today at your Doral office, and thank you for inviting me here to do a class. I did the branding, but we finished doing a video because I wanted everybody to have an idea of what a video making the buyer look like a hero would look like. So please go to I'll probably post it on my Instagram. I'll post it on my Instagram so you can see it. But what we were basically doing was we had the conversation, internal conversation of a buyer that was struggling with all the information that they were receiving regarding buying. And they knew what they wanted to do, but they felt like they needed one person to come together and tie everything they had learned so that they can go ahead and find the strength to go ahead and commit and buy a property. So we made a video that was generic, but at the very end, each person in the office was greeting the pretend buyer that was walking into the office. But again, the protagonist, the hero of the video is not you, it's the buyer who just needed that one extra push and found you to get them over that hump to make a decision.
So here I'm going to throw you guys a couple of ideas. We got 5 minutes left. A couple of branding ideas of professionals that you could become. Relocation specialist. There are a lot of families moving in and moving out. It's a lot of people moving out of the area because it's out of their reach and they're going to other parts of Florida. Yeah, there's a lot of people coming into the area. So if you're going to tag yourself or brand yourself as a relocation specialist, then your content should be, it should contain things about professional movers, stuff about the area, school, lifestyle, the benefits of moving to South Florida. So you need to, attract that clientele. If you're working with investors and you want to brand yourself as the investment advisor, well, it's very simple. You position yourself as an expert on cash flow properties, cap rates, short-term rentals, rental laws and restrictions, fix and flips. So if you're going to go down that route, that's what you need to be putting out there. And if you want to be a lifestyle curator, right, that you are only going to go after that target, then you need to sell the lifestyle of the high-end homes, right? That's going to cost you a little more dough because you're going to need professional photographies. You're going to need stuff from nice car dealerships, from boat dealerships. You're going to have to go sell that extra high-end lifestyle. Not only show the $6 million house, but all the perks that comes with that $6 million house. And the one that I know that touches Joaquin on the heart is become a first-time home buyer expert. But instead of calling yourself an expert, why don't you self, I'm going to steal what he said at the beginning today. And if you were listening, you heard him. Become their coach. Become that buyer's coach. Do workshops, put together step-by-step guides that they can follow, do the hand holding that it's going to take them from renter to buyer, right? And brand yourself as the one that's going to take all the worries away, all the nervousness away. So if you want to be that first-time home buyer coach, then that's the kind of content that you got to throw out there.
Well put.
I know I got too much time in my hands. So one last thing, Joe, because what do you think are the best branding channels out there? YouTube, newsletters, social media, or do educational type of workshop? Which one do you think is a better bang for your buck?
I think that we have to become as far as platforms, you need to be present in all of them because if your customer looks for you on the platform of their preference and they don't find you, it's not going to be good for you. And that includes TikTok because I think most people have taken TikTok and thrown it off like a kid play. But if you talk to anybody who's on TikTok, they have lots more views and attention than they do on any other platform. The up and coming platform, because of the educational part of it, is YouTube. If I were an agent starting today, I would dedicate probably the majority of my time to YouTube. I would go in and do their shorts, which are competing with stories from Instagram and so on. And
Big
again,
time. They're
they're
getting a lot of
always,
eyeballs.
yes, and they're always looking for more. LinkedIn is actually the one place where they are begging for posts because they need more content. But in YouTube, you have people that are literally looking for you because they're looking for that first-time home buyer specialist, the relocation person that you just said you could be. They come in looking for what you're offering. So if you're in there doing educational videos, okay, they're going to find you there. And the last thing I would add to that, in one of the previous post classes that we did here, one of the podcasts, we discussed, I touched on that AI is looking for content so that they can answer people based on posts and content that asks a question and then answers it. So if your post is, what do I do when I'm relocating, for instance, and you mentioned relocating, if you ask the question and then answer it, that's the content that's going to attract people that are asking questions on AI.
So when I started writing about this, I sat down and I did, if I was to, be as an active agent, because everybody knows I'm a non-competing agent, I'm not out there selling real estate. I said, but if I had to tomorrow morning wake up and reinvent myself, right? Reinvent myself and become an agent. I'm going to go out there and be an agent. What kind of branding do I want to give myself? And so, of course, I asked AI based on everything on my interactions, if I want to brand myself and everything that I do, what could be a name for me? You want to guess what
Okay,
I came back with?
tell me.
The market nerd.
That's excellent.
And I'm like, I like it actually. I think, it says, because you're always looking at graphs, you're always looking at data, you're always talking about. So, if you're going to rebrand yourself as a realtor in a competitive market like South Florida,
Yes.
the market nerd, it's not taken. I think I'm gonna see if I can register that. And
Do it.
that will fit what your projection is. My friend, our 20 minutes are up. So tell
Yes.
them what's coming up. What's coming up? What do you got going that I can go see you in
Um,
person?
this, what do I have coming up? I'm going
Yeah.
right now. I'm busy doing the 45 post licensing and continuing education. If you need that, write me directly. I'll tell you where the next couple of classes are going to be. The month is coming to an end. Um, but I'm going to continue doing the branding and we're going to put together a good program at the end of the month. If
Yeah.
anybody's interested in diving deeper into this.
Yeah. No, one thing that I'm looking into for everybody listening before I let you go, because Joaquin is the one that turned me into YouTube, and YouTube, that when I look at the stats, the views, the engagement, it's a lot better. Is I'm educating myself on how to turn these videos, and I can get three things out of these videos. I can keep the video as it is. I can take the audio and make it a podcast by itself, right? And I can take the video and make reels from it. So one thing that I do, I can use it and get three things out of it. So I'm in the process of, thanks to Joaquin, on learning how to do that, because I think that that will be me the best bang for my buck. I'll get three things for one. That is it for me, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. If you want any other information that I share, like always, send me an email and I'll share it back with you. We will be back next week, same bad channel at the same bad
Same bad
time.
time.
This
Take,
is Shake and Bake. This is Shake and Bake coming to you live.
uh,
Stay productive.
take it easy, market nerd.